All right, can you guys see my screen? Did that work correctly?
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, excellent. So today, Caylen and I, we are from the University of South Florida, St. Petersburg, and we are going to share with you our flexible and high quality course design and how we design and implement flexible course design. So we'll kind of highlight our kind of culture of quality here using the flexible courses that we make. And to start us off, I wanted to show you guys a little video.
Yep, just as people are sort of trickling back in, we'll go ahead and play this video.
So we'll play the video to give people a little time because I know the last one ran over a little bit. Let's get that up there.
We don't have the sound stuff.
Oh, let me show you. Every time I had it set up.
Every time.
You know, let me reshare. Here, I'll stop sharing. Oops. And then I'll share with audio. All right, screen share. Okay, share sound. There we go. Now this should work better. All right, so that was just a quick little highlight of some of the fun stuff that we do and create at USF. So as I mentioned, Caylen and I are from the USF Sarasota, not USF Sarasota, sorry, the USF St. Petersburg campus. So I'm a learning design manager here on this campus. And I've actually worked on all three campuses at USF, and I've been with USF since 2009. So I've been doing this a long time, and it's really fun, and I love it. And for those of you that saw the dog in the video and the dog on the screen, another thing I do is I raise Southeastern guide dog puppies, and they come to work with me, so they're like another member of the team. So that is Sadie there in my photo. And presenting with me today is Caylen Holmes.
Yeah, so I'm Caylen Holmes. My hobbies are not half as exciting as raising guide dogs, but yeah, so I've been in the learning design field since about 2015 here at the university. I used to work directly with the psychology courses, and I have expanded to work with a variety of courses across all the different campuses. So, but I am here with the St. Pete team.
All right. And for this session today, we're going to talk about how our process fosters a culture of quality. So we'll do a little discussion about that. We'll review kind of how we develop courses here at USF. We will also share examples of our flexible course design that maintains quality in online course development. So how do we make these courses that are shareable and flexible, and how we maintain quality in doing that? And we will also provide resources to help you guys implement flexible courses if it's, something you guys see and you think you might be interested in. And I'd also like to note, we'd like to invite you to ask questions in the chat. I think I can see that. Maybe Caylen can see that.
Yeah, I think I did see.
Yeah, cool. So feel free to ask us questions while we're going. If you have questions about like anything we're showing, you can, unmute and ask us whatever you want to do. We'll also stop and have a couple points for discussion to make sure that we answer all of your guys' questions today. And we will show you some examples of the flexible courses we've created at the end. And that's how we'll round out our presentation today. Okay, so a little bit about Our team, we are on the digital learning team. We're a part of innovative education at the University of South Florida. And although Caylen and I are on the St. Pete campus, and I also manage the Sarasota campus, we're kind of one big team. So we all work together across the 3 campuses on one big digital learning team. And what's cool about our team is we have different elements of our team. So Caylen and I are part of the learning design team. So our main job is to partner with faculty to develop high quality online courses and programs. We also have InEd Studios, which is our video team. So they help work with us and faculty to create really cool videos. They create videos for the university too. We also have a training and support team. So my team primarily focuses on building the courses, but we have a training and support team that will also help faculty with different technology tools and things like that. And they will also support the faculty after we develop courses with them. So they always have someone to go to get help. And they also help faculty who aren't developing courses with us too. So they're a support for all the faculty in the university. We also have some multimedia design people that we've partnered with. So they help us make graphics like this lovely PowerPoint we have today that are very talented, and they help us make different interactive graphics, videos, and assets and things like that. And then the final piece of that puzzle is the faculty, because our whole team is really about helping faculty and creating online courses. So that's our team. And then this is our process. So we have a process for developing online courses. I mean, it can be flexible, but generally we follow these 5 phases where we focus on quality during each phase. So during this process, faculty will work with a learning designer, and it'll span 1 to 2 semesters where they will work on creating a single high quality course. So in the beginning, we focus on gathering information from them, like their draft syllabus, what they want their course to look like, what their course designs want to look like. And then we move into the curriculum design and media planning phase, where we really focus on, okay, what are your learning objectives? What do you want your students to learn? How can we make sure all your activities, your assessments, your materials are all aligned with that? And we also have them create a media plan during that phase too. So do you want interactive elements? Do you want it to be on video? Any of those things. That way we make sure everything's aligned and we don't just go off and create media and have, oh no, this doesn't really fit in with anything. So our focus is really on quality during this whole design process. And we also do kind of towards the beginning / middle of development, we have a prototype phase where we build a portion of their course and we do a quick quality review on it to ensure that even early on in the process, like we're hitting those quality standards and those quality markers. So when we get to the end of the course, we aren't surprised by like, oh no, we missed this standard or something like that. So after the prototype, we move into media design, and then we're designing all that media that we've ensured hits all the quality, hits the learning objectives, helps student achieve those learning objectives and finish their assignments. And then finally, after that, we have the review and closeout phase, which we do a quality review on their course. And we know hopefully they're going to hit quality at the end, since we've spent all that time through the process making sure we hit all of those things. And our faculty are really involved in the quality process too. So as part of that quality review and closeout process, the faculty actually complete a quality review on their own course. So they can see, how my course is hitting standards, and they can tell us how they think they're hitting the standards. So then they really take ownership in that process, and it really helps to build a culture of quality on our campus. So what we've noticed is our faculty are invested in this too. We all have this push to hit, these quality standards that like the Florida BOG has set forth. So we've kind of really made like a whole culture of quality in our design process. And as part of that, we've actually had a request recently, just for some courses that can be taught by more than one instructor for one reason or another. And because we have this culture of quality, they want to be able to kind of pass this course off to someone else to teach, or maybe 2 people always teach this course. And they want to keep that quality designation, even though there's more than one person teaching this course. So the need wasn't for like a traditional template course that you just hand off to someone and be like, hey, teach this exactly how it is. We had these requests for a course that, maybe a bunch of GAs could teach, but we wanted to be able to keep that instructor presence, allow some flexibility of content, and include instructions on how to update that course. So when someone gets the course, they know what to do with it. And then, okay, we're going to pass this to Caylen now.
Yes, thank you. Yes, if you stop sharing your screen, I think it lets me.
Yeah, let me stop sharing. That's right.
Perfect. Thank you, Steph. So yeah, I'm going to pick up here. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, I see it.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go from here. So this is where we're going to jump into our poll and kind of get some feedback from you guys now that we've had a chance to kind of introduce what flexibility is to us and define that. We want to hear from you and sort of hear about the prevalency in your environments, in your schools, wherever it is that you're teaching, or maybe you're an instructor and you're seeing and hearing this need in your departments as well. So if we could go ahead and launch that poll, we'll see what feedback that is from you guys. So do you need flexibility in your course designs? Maybe you've already experienced this need, maybe you haven't, but you've heard of this, or maybe not yet, but you're here to get some ideas and some inspiration to maybe take back to your university to use. Sue?
The poll is running. You may not
Oh,
be
perfect.
seeing.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't see anything. Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I wondered if it was behind one of your windows.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I can see it.
Oh, good.
Perfect. Okay. And so we can share these results. Everybody can kind of get a feel for what the prevalence is in the community. Okay, so I'll let that go a little bit more. It looks like people are still kind of flowing into that. So we thought this would be helpful just to see, like, you know, maybe if it's not something you are experiencing right now, you can see that there is a need out there for it, or other people just are really interested in it. It could be coming your way. So I just want to get some feedback on that. Okay, looks like it's starting to slow down. A couple more seconds and then we'll end that poll. Okay. All right, so I'll go ahead and end that. Looks like it's been running for just over a minute. All right, I guess we can share results. Not sure if I just kind of pull that over here. Is that usually how that works? All right, so it looks like the majority of people are saying that you have experienced this need. Some are following up with maybe haven't experienced but have heard of it, and then looks like just about 12% of us have not, but are interested in learning. So it's good to get that kind of feedback from you guys to see that this is something that's out there. We're not the only ones. Hopefully some of the examples that we shared today will resonate with you and maybe possibly just give you some ideas as well. All right. So why flexibility? So flexibility helps us as designers to foster a culture of quality. And so I'm going to go over some of the ways that we achieve this. And so bear with me as I kind of indulge in some of these. There we go. So establishing relationships with instructors that increases quality of design. When we begin working with our instructors to collaborate on a course design, we begin by asking them to describe their courses. Talk to us about what's working for them, what's not working for them. This includes and covers topics like student success, learning outcomes, departmental needs, the maintenance of a course long-term, among a lot of different factors that I'm sure you guys have discussed with your instructors as well. So when we sit down and identify these needs up front in our pre-design phase, we're not only getting to focus on some of the main design projects that are going to be coming our way, but the instructor also gets to open up about their needs, their interests, and their goals. And this is one of the things that we have noticed helps instructors to open up and feel more comfortable in this process. And that is the fact that they are provided this platform to speak and be heard, and they become willing but also excited participants in that design process. And this ends up leading us to a more collaborative relationship that leads to more creative and effective outcomes for students. All right, providing customized solutions for a variety of educational needs. So we touched on this a bit just now, where we give the instructor the platform to talk about their needs before we begin. This is usually where we see those unique challenges that benefit from a customized solution. We see a variety of challenges faced by instructors and designers without the ability to provide this flexibility. So we'll see some examples next, but briefly, I'll provide some samples where we see some practitioners that want to provide and capitalize on their expertise and experience throughout their teaching. Sometimes there's multiple instructors sharing teaching loads, adjuncts and graduate students, for example, and we want to provide designs that can be picked up and taught as needed with clear guidance on what can be flexible and what can't. And when designs are less flexible, we can encourage ways to maintain instructor presence and course personalization. And this is important when when a design is being shared across multiple instructors specifically. And quality designs that are maintainable and effective. So we want to provide flexibility, but also clear guidance on how to use flexible designs that still maintain that quality design that we've all worked so hard on. So providing instructors with resources that help them remember what to do and how to do it after they've left our design process, even though they can always return to us, sometimes they work late, things like that, they might not be able to return to us as needed. So we want to make sure that they can remain effective in their teaching by maintaining certain aspects of a quality design and approved course that we've created. So instructors want to teach quality courses, and so do the departments. And this is a way that we're able to maintain that quality and establish a culture of quality. So we'll share some specific examples and ways that flexibility can be achieved based on these various needs that we've talked about, and we'll provide some resources that are going to help you implement some of these strategies in your courses. And so you'll see that the instructors, their needs varied. So you're going to see some of the solutions that we're going to review will have more flexibility compared to others, and we're going to go over a variety of those solutions. And so to prevent too much switching back and forth, what we're going to do is provide an overview of each example, and then we're going to exit that presentation and walk through each of these examples in Canvas so you can actually see what they look like being used and implemented in our course designs. Okay, so example 1, this is our children and young adult literature. So this instructor didn't have as much of a flexible course design. So we really focused on a single instructor guideline page. So we'll jump into her course and check out that specific guideline page and how she was able to outline what she was interested in keeping structured and what was sort of flexible. Oops. All right, example 2. This is our race and ethnic relations course. This instructor really wanted to create a customized course for himself, but also provide some flexibility for peers that might be teaching it in the future. And so the solution we came up for this course were alternative modules that were sort of designed during our development process with some guests, instructors basically on that design process. And we customized some specific modules that could be strategically replacing current existing modules. Example 3, this is our Principles of Microeconomics course. What we did for this instructor was she really wanted to have a personalized, customized course, but also a version that she could share with others that encouraged them to customize their own course and also maintain that quality. So we created 2 versions of this class for her, one that she could easily take and implement into Canvas immediately, just kind of updating dates and things like that, and then a shareable version that had a little bit more guidance on like what to do, what could be changed, and how you could do that to maintain quality. All right, and example 4 is one that Steph's going to share, so I'm going to let her introduce that one briefly.
Yeah, so our final example, we did a social welfare and policy class for the social work program here at USF. And for this course, they have multiple instructors that kind of rotate through teaching this course. Some of them are full-time faculty, some of them are practitioners in the field. And because it's a policy course, it also updates quite frequently. So the current events change a lot. So they were looking for a course that would be easy for them to pass between instructors and still hit all of the learning objectives they set, because this is also a really highly structured program. So they have outcomes they have to hit. They have assignments that they want everyone to do. So we wanted to make this course easy for someone to pick up and teach if they don't necessarily teach all of the time. So we might have someone that only teaches this course once a year. So this course includes things like Canvas instructions and tech instructions and things like that. So that'll be our final example that we share.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump out of the presentation and we're going to go to some of our Canvas examples. All righty. So as I work through these, I'm going to give a little bit of a reintroduction to them just so that you guys remember what exactly the example is that we're looking at. So bear with me as I reintroduce these back to you and kind of outline the challenge that was presented and what the goal was. So this course used multiple instructors, TAs. It's a gen ed course that measures student learning outcomes. In this example, there's one main instructor with some fellow instructors that facilitate different sections of this same exact course. So while this course structure isn't necessarily our most common, this example solution is our most common. And it's similar to the last example that we're going to review as well too, where this one focused more on a single guideline page. Our final example has more of a module and detailed outline of the expectations and what's flexible and what's not. So this solution is actually good for instructors that are maybe adjuncts, graduate assistants, or anyone that maybe doesn't traditionally build their own courses. It's helpful in situations where the content's more stable, less flexible. Typically, we see that in classes that are like gen ed that measure student learning outcomes that are mandated. So we'll take a look at what this instructor did. So you'll see in our module section, this instructor highlighted what pages actually needed editing. So just to kind of highlight and bring attention to the pages that you're going to need to make sure you come in here and update these before your class goes live and that students get access to it. So we have those little notes here just to kind of highlight and reminders for the instructor to edit these topics before they're posted as well. But the main work was done here in the instructor guidelines page. And again, just remember that this one wasn't as flexible. So this is just a way that we're trying to encourage some instructor presence, some customization, and just a general guideline for maintaining that quality, even though she's not teaching each section of this course. So we put in some guidelines for tips and tricks. So making sure that you're looking out for these little notes that we've left you on the pages, editing those pages that say instructor edit required. And then an important reminder that some of these are going to take time. So we do encourage some customization of the materials, like the introduction discussion. And this class specifically is really creative. So it's a reminder to kind of jump in here. Don't wait until the last minute, because it does take some time to do it right and to do it with quality. So the homepage you're going to update because you're going to have a different instructor name. The syllabus, you want to make sure you're updating that for your personal information, also your office hours. The Meet Your Instructor page, you want to provide a customized introduction to yourself to encourage that instructor presence, connecting with students. She provides an example of her instructor intro for others to refer to and get some inspiration from. The course structure doesn't necessarily change, so it's really just an introduction and kind of acclimation to the course. And the important part of this one is that she does outline specifically, you can create and add additional lectures if you feel like you can add some value to the content, but you cannot remove any of the existing videos because that's what's going to mess with our alignment and that quality, meeting those quality standards that we've already reviewed for her course. The same goes for assessments. You can't really modify any of the existing ones, but if you feel like based on your expertise that you can add some value, you do have that flexibility to modify lectures and assignments. And again, because this is a general education course, we provide some guidance on how to report those SLOs. And then this is that creative autobiography assignment that's in the introduction discussion. So she provides some guidance and an example on how to create that. And there's some other unique aspects about her course, like a Holocaust tour. So she encourages them to provide different activities in alignment with that overarching project, and then some recommended technology to make sure that she's assisting students properly. That's our first example. All righty, so our next one is our race and ethnicity course. So this is the course where we use the alternative modules to help this instructor. So this course is taught by a single instructor with guest instructors stepping in on an as-needed basis. And this instructor's goals were to develop a course that utilized his specialties in medical sociology, but also provide some flexibility for a few fellow instructors that were interested in teaching the course in the near future. The solution we created for this course was to create some customized an entire customized course, and then also create some select alternative modules that could replace specific existing modules and still maintain that alignment to the higher level course level objectives. It's a rather straightforward example, so I just want to kind of walk you through it. On the left-hand side, I'll go through his version of that module, and then my panel is blocking that, sorry. And then we'll go through the modified version over here. So you can see in his modules, we have his with the specialty for disparities in health, and then the alternative modules for the instructor that was more interested in sports and had more of a background in sports. So I'll open his version over here, just so you can see how they're similar, but different enough that the instructor could kind of capitalize on their existing knowledge and really make that connection maybe a little bit better from their own perspective. So we'll start with that overview page. And in his course, we were able to create some customized images. Oops, did I not? Oh, I clicked on the wrong one here. Bear with me, lots of pages open. Here we go. So we created some customized images for each of his modules where we introduce the topic with specific events in history, statistical data, and we cite all that information here. So it's just kind of a way to give students some timely information in relation to the way that they're interacting with the content in that module. So you can see we've created a customized version that's sport focused over here in the alternative module, and then a medical sociology focused one over here. And thankfully in this example, the modules didn't really have to be, or the objectives didn't really have to be changed because they were essentially measuring the same objectives, the same skills that the students were practicing to build. It was just a different type of content that they were using to really sharpen those analytical skills. So you can just see, he had a lot of objectives for this module. So I don't expect you to read through all of them, but you can see that these ones will focus on disparities in health, and then this alignment will focus on his assessments that focus on disparities in sports. All right, we'll go to the next page. Okay. So you can see that we just kind of modified this introduction to tie into over here, it's medical sociology, and over here it's tied back into sports. He's replaced the PowerPoint over here with his customized PowerPoint based on sports, and this one's over here that's based on health. And then the readings have been exchanged as well to focus on that topic and make that alignment more clear and connect and support and scaffold these students. And I forgot to actually pause after our first example. Does anyone have questions so far? I know it's kind of a lot to go through, and this is a workshop, so feel free to speak up. I might not see your chat. Maybe if you guys have been posting in the chat, or maybe you can just kind of speak up. Feel free. I'll take a pause before I move on to our next one. No takers?
No, I was gonna say, I know we missed one earlier, but Christine answered it. Oh, I think we had a question. So yeah, we did have a question earlier. Thanks, Christine, for hopping in and answering that. For how much time do you allot for the entire course development from pre-design through review? And yeah, she did answer. So they do get one full semester, but they do have the option to extend into summer or start in summer. So it's either like spring, fall, spring, summer, or summer, fall. And sometimes the ones that take those longer developments would be the ones that might require some additional media or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the last example that we just did was a 2-semester long, because we did have a lot of those interactive images that we had to source that were really time intensive, right? Because you're sourcing these quality case examples that draw a point, they paint a picture, you want to model academic integrity. So those were really intensive labors of love. So that one was a double semester development, but yeah, they can be 1 semester to 2.
Yeah, we did have another question. Do students have access to the PowerPoint or only the instructors? So for the course PowerPoint, for this course, they were providing them to the students. And that would be an instructor's choice, whether they decide to provide their students with the PowerPoint or not. So that would vary from course to course. And thanks for the great banners. We work really hard on those. So it's really nice to hear that you like the course banners. Yay. Caylen worked really hard on those image changing one. Okay, so then how many courses are you working on while developing a new course? So our designers typically work on anywhere between 5 and 7 courses per development cycle. Yeah,
they are definitely courses that are labors of love. So
yeah, and then we have a question from Todd too. So is the sports module just to illustrate what a different version could look like, or was that the only alternative option? Caylen, I believe for this course, that was the alternative option, right?
That was the alternative option. Yeah. So, I mean, thankfully in that class, it was pretty straightforward. The materials aligned really well for us. It wasn't something that we had to work too hard to sort of modify and force in. I imagine depending on the content and depending on the resources that your instructor uses, it might be easier or more difficult to do that sort of a thing. In this case, the sports chapter already existed in the book, so it was easy to kind of make that shift. I didn't have permission to share the actual lecture content from the instructor. They said I could share the course and the design and everything. So that's why I didn't really open that up and show that piece to you all. but that was something that we created so that in the event that so he would go back to his departmental meetings and they'd be like, well, I don't really know a lot about medical sociology, but I have a lot of experience in race and ethnicity as it relates to sports, the history of it, the mainstream, the modern. So we were able to create that alternative module using that instructor's resources. And thankfully, we had instructors that were interested in putting that time in. You might not always have that. You might have the instructor themselves say, well, I want alternative modules in case I feel like I want to change something out more that's more timely. I mean, again, the needs vary significantly. So this one was that other instructors might have been teaching it and they were like, well, I can't really do too much with medical sociology. So we wanted to provide that flexibility, include that in our course design, and include that in our review of the course for quality at the end of that development cycle.
Yeah,
hopefully that answered the question.
yeah, we have a few more. Okay, let me scroll up here. So
perfect. Yeah.
how many designers work on one course at a time? So here we have a main designer and a co-designer. So we have 2 designers per course. The main designer does most of the work, but they have a second designer that can help them out. Also, we have designers, right? We have different skill sets. So some people are better at some things than others. So even if you're not necessarily assigned to a course, you might be pulled in on a course. So we do share stuff if we know someone has, better abilities in one area than another. So yeah, typically it's 2.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I can really say that's amazing about our team is that the collaborative nature is really awesome. If you're feeling like you're in a creative rut, you just kind of reach out to someone that you've seen has done something super cool or relevant or helpful that you think would be good for your course, and you can kind of meet and brainstorm, and it helps get those creative juices flowing. So yeah, two designers, but everyone's always really encouraging about sharing and collaborating on ideas.
And then, so this question, do you have any instructors that are concerned with academic freedom with the limitations and restrictions? If so, how do you address this? For these courses, these were all opted into. So no one's being like forced to use these courses or anything like that. So these are just specifically being made for situations where, for some of those like entry-level English courses, they might have GAs or an adjunct that's hired at the last minute. So this would be a course like we can give them as an option to teach or not, and then for the social work one, for all the other example ones, they came in like wanting this style of course. So we haven't run into the issues of like the restrictions or academic freedom, right? And if it's one of those things where if someone's going to maybe, do another course, we'd have to do a different development they'd have to come through the development process and develop one on their own to get, that quality review at the end. So these are just a way to kind of share the course or pass off a course, and then that still maintain its quality designation, but give the faculty like enough freedom to change things where they feel like they can make it their own, but then without having to do like a whole other full development, right? So these are all willingly shared courses.
Yeah, trying to work with that academic freedom and stay within those quality standards. That's why we came up with these solutions, right? There are people who are interested in kind of using their own expertise, their own lenses to deliver their content. So these are just some of the ways that we have found that help us maintain that quality and give them some of that wiggle room and that academic freedom back a little bit. And this last example, you'll see a little bit more of an explanation on that. And this instructor did give permission to share material. So I'll open up like a lecture outline that they allowed us to share, and we'll take a look at that too. Maybe that'll help give a better idea for the amount of flexibility that we provide in this example.
Yeah, and I think you can move on to the next one. So we had a last couple of comments, just like thanks. So yeah, thanks guys. Like we really appreciate you, attending the session and looking and seeing what we're doing too. It's fun to share what we're doing. Okay, so Caylen, I think you're good. Going.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're good to move on to the next example.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so thank you all for the questions. Do keep those coming because we'll have an open period at the end of this to talk more freely and open-ended about anything that you have questions about. So, all right, so let me just scroll. Oh, wait, no, we did want to go up tier to week 1. Okay, so in this example, this was our customized versus a shareable course. So this instructor's been teaching this course for a lot of years. She's got a lot of valuable experience in her field and teaching this course, and you'll really see that come through on our instructor guideline page. She's got lots of experience and opinions on what she thinks is best for this course. So you'll see that really shine in that, that overview page. So this course has a high enrollment. It's offered every semester by multiple instructors to meet that demand for USF. Her main goal for this development was to create a customized course for her, and then a version that was more easily shared for these peer instructors that are teaching it across the university. So this shareable version you'll see provides guidelines on how to update and modify specific details, settings, create their own content deliverables, while maintaining that alignment, encouraging instructor presence by providing instructions on how to create these materials in place of the materials that we customize personally for her in this development cycle. This option provides flexibility in synchronous and asynchronous settings, so that's good. This is also a good solution for courses that require lectures to be updated on a frequent basis. So I see this happening mostly like in cybersecurity, programming, engineering, where the material updates really, really quickly. So diving really deep into these high quality media production is maybe not ideal because every semester you're going to be replacing it. And this sort of a layout is the shareable version is a good option for those courses as well. So we'll take a look at that. You'll see that these look kind of similar because both the instructors really liked the template that I had came up with. And when I shared the example with one, they wanted to take it on two. So they are different courses, but they look sort of similar. So this one over here is her master course. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like over here in comparison to the shareable. She calls it a shell. And so this is just what she wanted it to be titled. But so you can see at the top of the shell page, there's a set up your asynchronous online course. And on this page, she doesn't have that because she just gets to move this course right over and start using it, updating due dates and things. So you'll see that a lot of the content in week one is really not too flexible, but where you do find the flexibility in this course is in the lecture video and notes. So when you open this here, you can just kind of see what we've done to help maintain that alignment, but still provide that quality and flexibility for the instructor to come in and do their own content. So here she links her own personal lecture notes. It's a PDF, hopefully it loads for us. Over here, she encourages them to provide these lecture notes. In her outline in the page I'll look at next, she outlines why it's important to share these notes, how it's valuable to students, maintaining that quality of learning and giving them access to that. And so here's what that looks like for her. And then she has her lecture videos over here with her descriptions, and then she encourages them over here to include their videos and to maintain that alignment and quality with the assessments that we have set for the course. She provides an outline of what these instructors should generally cover. And again, like I said, she's very detail oriented, so she provided very detailed outlines, but this is really just to help make sure that they're providing the students with what they need to be able to, oh, sorry, that page came out. To be able to make sure students are still hitting those objectives and developing those skills and achieving those goals. So we'll go back up to modules. And you'll see in her version of the course, again, there's not that overview page, but over here, she has how to set up your asynchronous online course. She also has a version for the synchronous online course because every now and then that does pop up as a need for the department, and she has that all developed separately as well. She provides really detailed instructions on like step 1, 2, 3 in order, what you should do to improve and update this course, just so that you're not doubling up on the amount of work that you're doing. If you fix, step 1 first, you might not have to do as much in step 2. She points out that she's taken a lot of care to create this, so please heed her guidance. And she has really helpful guidance. And I was thinking about what Thomas Cavanaugh said earlier about you can just give someone a course, like a template to just teach, right? That's not what we're trying to do here. We really want these courses to be quality. And she really points that out throughout this entire process. So I'll skip over these steps because they're a little bit tedious, but down here, she highlights some of the important elements and provides context for why it's important what you're doing and the quality of what you're doing and maintaining the value for your students. So first, she encourages them to modify their navigation settings over here. She encourages the instructors to look at the exam question pools, because when you know what it is that you're asking students to answer, what you're assessing them on, you're going to be better at delivering them and scaffolding them in your content. And so I think that's a really helpful thing that she points out here is look at your assessments and make sure that you're providing that content too. And the outlines help ensure that, but she just kind of reiterates that there with the quizzes and the exams. Understanding your gradebook, because we all know students stress out about grades, making sure that you're not messing up anything in your gradebook to stress out your students. A welcome video, she provides an example of how she introduces the course to her students so that they feel acclimated, welcomed, encouraged to reach out to her to engage with the course. And then the lecture notes and videos. So she dives a little bit deeper into this section as well, kind of encouraging them to provide those lecture notes, to provide the PowerPoints, why that's valuable, so that they can follow along, they learn better. And then generally how long those should be, right? You don't want to make those too crazy long. And then down here, she also suggests a lot of things that we do as designers, right? Break them up into 5 to 10-minute bits. That way you're not overwhelming them. Try to animate your graphs because it helps them to understand the concepts a little bit better when you visually pair it with your audio. Accessibility too, right? Making sure that you're using Kaltura, which she highlights later on as well, because that provides you with captions, transcripts, and things that your students with disabilities might find helpful. And then just some last like tips and trips that she felt were helpful to point out before you jump into that course. So again, you really see her expertise shine through in this example. It's a lot to cover. We provide at the end of this, Stephanie's going to introduce a course checklist that'll help you sort of get started with this type of a page in your courses. So it gives you a starting point to kind of to walk away and start doing some of these similar practices. So from here, I'll go ahead and stop sharing so that Steph can go ahead and share our last example for you.
Yeah, and we had a couple more questions. So while I try and,
yeah.
I'll try and do two things at the same time.
Let me see if I can't take some of those questions. Let's see.
Yeah, so well, the first one was how does flexibility impact project timelines? And the timelines run the same. So it usually doesn't impact the timeline.
I would say as far as like all the examples that I've introduced so far, the one that was actually time consuming was the alternative module one, because now you're introducing an additional developer into the process, but thankfully in that situation, they showed that interest in that initiative and it really didn't put too much more on me or the instructor or development process. But otherwise, the other options aren't as intensive. I think generally the instructors know what they need to outline for their modules or their media so that the content delivery is staying aligned. So it really only adds a small additional step for the instructor in the instances where we really just provide those guidelines and outlines.
Yeah, and then could you guys see my screen with the Canvas course on it?
Yes,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Make sure I'm sharing the right one. And I know we had a question about course templates, and yeah, we do have templates that the instructors can choose between. And they also have the option to make that. So for example, this is a good one. This is a custom one that we made. So if they don't like any of the options or they need something different, or we need to theme an entire program, we can make a custom template too. But we do have like a set that we show them that we can choose from. And I'll go through this course quickly so we can get to the checklist that I want to share with you guys. So for this one, kind of same as the other ones, we've got to welcome faculty, update your syllabus and module due dates, update assignment due dates, update instructor information. This is all the stuff that they really want to make sure everybody uploads. And because this is one, which is why I really wanted to share this one, this course has live synchronous sessions. So for this one, we created a page that instructors can copy and put in their module anytime they're doing a synchronous session. So it's got all the instructions in here. It's got a placeholder for their session recording that they post. And then also for this one, we have some Canvas resources. So for that instructor that doesn't teach but once a year and maybe forgets how to use Canvas, because I know we all do if we haven't done it in a while, we put the Canvas tutorials right in there. So we're always available. Our faculty support team is always available, but maybe they're doing this at 3 in the morning and they want to, get started on their own before they reach out for help. So we made sure to put that in there for them. And then the final thing I want to share, I'm just going to pull it up instead of going back to the PowerPoint just yet, but we made, and I will put this in the chat for you guys. So we did all ours in a module, right? So all these courses, we put a module for the instructor, we leave it unpublished so the instructors can go in there and grab it. But maybe you just want to do something in a Word doc that you can give to your instructor. And this is great for people that are sharing courses, but also just instructors that are teaching online. So it can be helpful. So, we've got the course setup, instructor information, getting started, like LMS support. So this is just one kind of like a simple one I made. We have some more templated pretty ones that we actually use with our instructors, but Some of this came up from COVID too, where we needed to give them a lot of resources. So this is something that kind of hung on from COVID that some of us will make for our instructors, because maybe they're using Flipgrid, they're, using a technology they only set up like once a semester. So this can be a good thing to kind of remind everybody, oh yeah, I got to update those those due dates. I got to update this technology. So I'll go ahead and share a version of that in the chat. And I'm going to stop sharing. And then I think reshare.
Perfect. Yeah. So before this is over, we'll go ahead and pop that over in the chat. I don't have that pre-downloaded, so Steph will do that in a second.
Yep.
But this basically, we fit it all in, even though we were a little bit behind. So I wanted to, hopefully that wasn't too fast, but I wanted to open up the floor to anybody. Feel free to unmute yourself and speak up or post in the chat if you have any more questions for us too. Oh yeah, I guess we got to that last question from Sue.
Yeah, and we're really just at, I can share my screen again, but it doesn't seem to be letting me upload a file to the chat. Here we go. I think it's going to let me do it this time. All right, I think I got it this time. Perfect. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, that's kind of our final thing. I can just pop up our last slide here. But I know we're at time also, so.
But if anybody also doesn't have any specific questions, I would be interested to hear if there's maybe similar things that you're doing at your campuses or additional ideas that we could all kind of share and get feedback on from each other. Because it sounds like it's something that everyone else is currently experiencing. What exactly are you doing to try to help provide that flexibility to your instructors?
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I actually used to be a GA at USF before I graduated. And
cool.
So I wanted to ask, like, what was this all set up like with the instructional designers between like 2014 to 2020? Because I really don't remember anybody ever saying anything like, hey, you could pair with an instructional designer when you're an adjunct. So I just wanted to know, like, when did you guys start doing this? How did you get faculty interested?
So I know that's changed across time. It looked a little bit different pre-consolidation when St. Pete sort of ran things a little different separately. But since we've consolidated, I'll let Steph explain how that looks. And consolidation was 2020, I believe.
2020. Yeah, I was there for like the start of it.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, so I was gonna say, like, it looks different, right? And it's always it's optional to work with our team. So it's not like not everyone has to come through and put their course through us. And I mean, I've been at USF since 2009, but I started off in Sarasota. And it's always, and same with like St. Pete and Sarasota, it was always kind of like an opt-in, like people would come by for help and they might get help. And now the colleges are more proactive and more involved in putting more courses through our process. And I know the quality is a big factor too, right? People want quality courses. They see the courses, they want good courses. So our departments have all really grown and expanded, both like pre and post consolidation. So yeah, a lot of this is new. And I will say these kind of like flexible shareable courses have been a newer phenomenon too. Like we didn't really see these in the past so much. It's just been in the last, like, I don't know, maybe a year or so, like that we've really seen a request for this kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely more of like a new, and I think right for GAs, TAs, like it is a great thing. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, this is incredible. I was just like, wow, this kind of didn't exist when I was a GA. But yeah, so I work at Valencia. I forgot to add that to my name, Valencia College in Orlando. So I was just wondering, like, how did you get the word out? Like, are you trying to maybe target more part-time faculty or full-time faculty, or how did you kind of promote this new change since consolidation?
Well, I don't know that it's necessarily a change that we've seen because of consolidation. I think it's just probably more so COVID, right? That shift to online and that need to be flexible has really shown itself since the online learning really started to grow. And I think that's what pushed for that initiative. And, we share that at places like, this conference, and we're always encouraging instructors to share their resources and things like that. Like, again, at departmental meetings, they'll say, hey, my designer and I talked about this. And so that's the way that we're sort of spreading that internally across our campuses. But it's not necessarily, I don't know that I would say it's an initiative. I think our digital learning department does a really good job at putting on workshops and sharing these kind of resources in that way. But this is part of our initiative too, right? Getting out there and sharing these resources so everybody else can benefit from them, and hopefully maybe share some of the ideas that you're doing at your universities. But again, I think it's it's been about the last year that we've seen this. So it's really starting to be a recent initiative that we're doing.